Hello everyone, this is the Undisciplined podcast and I'm Nico Beitendach. Maybe you recognize my voice because this is the first time I'm showing my face on this channel. And the reason I'm making this video is to give a short announcement on something that I'm going to do with this channel, this podcast. We're keeping on with the normal podcast, the interviews, as you know them for the last few years. But what I'm also going to do from now on is what I'm calling the Undisciplined Reading Series. So the story behind this is, perhaps you know, I'm mainly focused on legal theory and legal philosophy. I, as a personal project at first, thought, you know, those kind of canonical texts in any discipline, but in legal theory, these kind of canonical texts that everyone knows, that you get taught, and maybe you know it well from secondary sources, but either you read the primary text very long ago or you just never read it actually. So the idea was to go back to some of these books and read them either again or for the first time and do it really carefully, do it really slowly. And I thought, you know, I shouldn't just keep this as a personal project, that maybe there are many others, especially undergraduate law students, who maybe have to also read these books as part of their prescribed material. Maybe it's a nice chance to discuss these works, read it together with other people, so kind of forming a virtual reading group. And that's why I'm calling it the Undisciplined Reading Series. Naturally, if we do all the kind of canonical texts of legal theory across time, it would be too much. So I narrowed it down to 20th century works. For better or for worse, they seem to all fall a little bit more on the legal positivist side. I know positivism isn't everyone's thing, and honestly it's also not totally mine, but I think that's kind of part of the reason why I chose the books that I did, to kind of re-examine those arguments. So probably you can already guess which books these will be more or less. So I chose 4. The first one that I chose is Hans Kelsen, Pure Theory of Law. The second one is HLA Hart, Concept of Law. The third one is Ronald Dworkin, Law's Empire. And the fourth and final one is perhaps not as canonical, but is Niklas Luhmann's Law as a Social System. So while that might not totally be canon, I'm including it because I like it. So the format that the reading series is going to take will be quite simple. Every 2 weeks, I will post a video where I talk about one chapter of the book that we're dealing with. So doing them chronologically, starting with Pure Theory of Law. And every 2 weeks, a video will come up where we just discuss the chapter for those 2 weeks. So, you know, if there's 8 or 10 chapters in these books, that's 8-10 videos for each. And I think if you watch them, I wouldn't say it would be a replacement for reading the book yourself. Ideally, you're reading with me, but it would also be a nice refresher to get an idea of what it is, or if you're an undergraduate and you're not expected to read the primary source, then maybe you can watch the video, and with your textbook or secondary sources that you're using, it could be a nice complement. Also, at the end of each book, I will be doing an interview with an expert on Kelsen, Hart, Dworkin, Luhmann. So by the end of a series for one book, it would be covered in quite detail, I think. So that's it for the Undisciplined Reading Series. In 2 weeks, the first chapter of Kelsen's A Pure Theory of Law will be available. Put in comments, let's debate this on the YouTube page. I hope that we can have a bit of a community going around with these videos. So thank you very much and see you in 2 weeks.